Okay, so we were talking about the food. Yeah, as I said, there's no pork products because of Muslim people, and they basically had a big thing where the religion doesn't allow them to eat pork, so Georgia just took it completely out. Like for breakfast, if you want cereal, you actually have to buy cereal, and then you have to buy powdered milk off the store, and you have to pour the powdered milk in and add your water and everything, and then add your cereal to it. Yeah, no donuts and gravy in prison, sorry. We actually had an instance where one of the places I was at, if you worked in the metal shop, you worked in the metal shop like 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. There was no calling out, there was no missing a day, you were going. But then you would get a medium pepperoni pizza, and so people were sneaking the pizzas back to the dorms. You could sell one slice of pizza for $5. It's a commodity in there. Like it's not seen very often, at least in Georgia. Everything on the store is ridiculously priced. If you drink coffee, instant coffee, like a jar of Folgers, like maybe this big, it was $12 on the store, and I think I can go to Walmart right now and buy that same thing for like $5. They really jack the prices up. You only get what they allow you to get. They've got a sheet, basically, a sheet of paper, and it's got listed all the stuff that they have, and you have to say, like, on a Thursday, you'll go through there and you'll say, okay, I want, one thing of coffee, I want some soap, I want some paper, a box of Little Debbie's, I want to get, some Kool-Aid, I want to get some, sweeteners, whatever, and you'll order all the stuff and say how many you want, and you'll put the sheet in, you'll have to hand them in. And then the next, like, Monday or Tuesday, you'll actually get the food. And they'll come to the dorm and they'll call out your name, and you'll have to come out and go to a window, and there's people in there and they're giving you your stuff. And you just gotta go up there and have your net bag ready, and they'll throw your stuff in there. And then you go back to your dorm with it. In some places, this is very dangerous. There's a lot of prisons that, especially if you're white, you don't get store, or you will get killed. You will get robbed. Some people were paying so much every store call, like every week, pay them $5, or $20 or whatever for you to be allowed to have store. Thankfully, most of the prisons I was at, that wasn't as big a deal. I knew there were other people that were basically not allowed to have store, but I had store. Like, nobody ever tried to tell me I couldn't get store. I'm a pretty big dude, though, so, I mean, it's not always evident looking at me, but I'm actually pretty stout. Like, if you met me on the street and you thought I was mad at you, you'd probably be a little intimidated. Just keeping it real. So yeah, like I said, a lot of people, really left me alone. And I kept to myself anyway, so. But yeah, the food is really, 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 really bad. A lot of times they'll have menus, and it'll be funny because the menus will list, like, different stuff that you're supposed to be having, but it's just fancy names for crap. Like, they might give you these little wrinkly potatoes, and one day they might call it home-style potatoes. The next day it's French fries. The next day it's potatoes au gratin. But it's the same thing. It's just like a little bitty, shrilly, crappy piece of potato. It's really easy to get fat in prison because, like I said, most of the food is just carbohydrates. You're going to get lots and lots and lots of carbohydrates. The same exact things pretty much every day. There's no surprise. There's no going to Ryan's or popping over to McDonald's and getting a burger. Like, all that's the only way you can even keep your weight like normal is to be able to buy stuff off the store. So if nobody's sending you money for commissary, you're either going to have a good hustle or you're just going to suffer. The next question apparently that people ask is, how do we communicate with the outside world? Well, for the most part, it's through mail. There's a lot of snail mail coming through prisons. They do read everything that you send somebody in prison, and everything they send out of prison is read before it is sent. You can't really go making secret plans or none of that, because they're going to know. There's also a phone that they have in there. It's like a payphone type deal, and you can talk to somebody for so many minutes. I think it's like 5 minutes, and it ends up costing $15, I think, almost, for a 5-minute phone call. So not a lot of people use that. It's really a pretty big ripoff. Usually, there's going to be a couple inmates in your area that have a cell phone that they got illegally, and they will rent you time on the phone. Like, they'll say, it might be $2 for an hour on the phone, which is still a lot cheaper than the $15, for 5 minutes that they would normally charge you. And of course, you can call anybody you want, and it's not monitored. So that's the preferred method. And a lot of times, since the modern cell phones have internet, you can get on Facebook and, whatever else that you want to. But, of course, you got to have the money, though. So as long as you've got money, you can communicate, you can look people up, you can do stuff. So don't think that people are in there, they just can't find out nothing. When I went to file for certain things and I didn't know where people lived at, I could go on there and look them up, find out where they lived. You could look people up, see what their charges were if you really wanted to. Thank you, Manny. Appreciate you, brother. As I was talking about earlier, now they're giving people tablets, and the tablets are free, but everything costs money on them. So like I said, if you want to send communication to people, your people on the street would sign up for it. They'd have to put in a bunch of different information so that they know who you're talking to. It has to get approved, and then you can send messages back and forth at 50 cents a message. You can also send pictures on the thing, but the pictures are really, really, really looked at. I don't know what word to use. They're scrutinized, yeah. Like if your girlfriend sends you a picture and it's a little risque and you can almost see something, you're not going to get it. They don't refund the money either. So you're just out of luck. We've seen pictures that got denied because, like one of them was it was his mom's wedding, and she was throwing the bouquet, and on her hand you can see a tattoo. And they said, oh no, you can't have this because it shows a tattoo, and you might use this artwork to do tattoos. It doesn't have to make sense. It just has to be what they say. So yeah, it is possible. But like I said, most of it is through snail mail. Even if you don't have any money, the state will give you so many stamps a month so that you can send some mail out. And like I said, there's a bunch of mail order programs you can do and whatever else. So what is the impact of prison on mental health? Well, you see how messed up I am, right? That should tell you something. I think the biggest things mental health wise is you are kind of in a constant state of awareness because things can happen and it doesn't even have anything to do with you, but you can get involved in it on accident. I could be walking down through here and these guys get in a fight, and I'm in the fight. Dude might cuss out a police officer or, a guard, and then the guard, he's just going to spray mace. He's going in on this mace because they ain't trying to, have to fight nobody. So the whole hall will be filled with mace, and now you're maced and you ain't done shit wrong. People can rob you and there's no real repercussion. You need permission for everything. You feel really, 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 really helpless and small and just like, these people control my life. They control everything. It really gets to you because you feel so depressed and down on yourself. And like I said, it's just, you feel like everything is out of your control because, there's nothing you have in prison that can't be taken away. The minute you start to like something, they're just going to take it away. That's how you feel. And, they might just decide that nobody gets TV for 2 months. And then that show that you love so much, now you can't watch it. And then when it comes back on, you're lost. And there's no way to go back and watch it, If you're sick and you're hurt, you have to put in a form to try to go see a doctor. The doctor will be there on the compound, and they're not going to do a whole lot for you. They're going to ignore most stuff. If you have diabetes or something, they'll give you stuff to control it or whatever. But when I got hit with the lock, for example, and my elbow was swollen and I couldn't move, they gave me ibuprofen. That was it. Like, you get a tooth pulled, ibuprofen. Doesn't matter what it is, that's the strongest thing you're getting is ibuprofen. Something causes you a lot of pain, you're just out of luck. They're not going to help you. They don't care. A lot of fights and stuff don't get reported. So, like, a lot of the numbers that we're seeing, like, they'll say, this prison only had 2 incidents or whatever. That's usually BS. Pretty much, unless you die, they're not reporting it. You could have 5 people that each got stabbed 17 times, and nobody's ever going to hear about it. It's kept under the rug. They don't want people to know how violent and how unsafe their places are. For the most part, you've got about 300 or 400 inmates to 1 guard. I mean, it's bad. For the most part, if you were in trouble, there's not a lot they can do about it until it's over. And quite often that's what happens. Where they'll come in with a tac squad and spray mace everywhere and, everybody gets in trouble. But yeah, like I said, you're always on guard. You never know what's going on. you're lonely. You miss your family. A lot of times your families aren't going to write you like you think they are. Your friends aren't going to write you like you think they are. They do have mental health doctors in there that will give you medications. There's certain medications they won't give you, like, for example, Adderall or anything like that. They're not going to give that to you. They're not going to give you Xanaxes, none of that. But if you're on Prozac or anything like that, they'll keep that up. You'll have meetings with psychologists and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, yeah, like I said, the thing was helplessness. Helplessness was the biggest thing because nobody's trying to help you in there. A lot of times I would write my family and I was trying to find out things and I was trying to ask them questions, and they would just ignore it and wouldn't answer me. I had 1,000 friends until I went to prison, and then, none of them wrote me, and your family even stops writing you as much and visiting you, and so you really start getting down on yourself, and it's like, you really have a lot of things going through your head. You're just like, why are they not writing me? Like, what's the deal? Like, is it that big of a deal? Why is it so hard for them, just to write me a stupid letter? And to you, it means everything, in there. But, like, on the outside world, like they don't realize, like, what a big deal that is. Like, how important that is. That's a lifeline. I mean, if you don't have people writing you when you're in prison, believe me, you're going nuts. And you can never write too much. You could write a letter to your loved one in prison every single day, and they will not complain. I swear to you, they will not. They will love every single letter they get. There's nothing quite like being in there and hearing your name called at mail call and knowing that somebody gave a shit enough about you to write you a letter. So that's really, really, really a big thing. If you have people in prison, man, write them. Even if it's like, hey dude, what's up? Anything. So yeah, don't think that you're going to be too boring for them, or that what you're saying is not important, or they'll feel like it's stupid. They're going to appreciate anything at all that you write. Okay, so let's see. The next one was, are educational programs available in prison? GED? Yes. My name is Jeff too. As a matter of fact, for a lot of people, if you don't have your GED, they kind of force you to get your GED, or at least attend GED classes, because they want you to come out, with at least a GED. It looks good on them, and they get paid. Every person that gets a GED in prison, the prison makes money. And it's a pretty decent amount of money. So they're going to encourage you to do that so that they can get paid. Especially in Georgia, prisons are for profit. They make a lot of money off you being locked up. Usually, there's a couple classes on different things in each prison. So, like, this prison here might have a computer class. This one over here might have brick masonry. This one's got welding. This one's got, diesel mechanics, whatever. This one over here makes stickers for license plates, whatever. So there's going to be a couple little things that you can take. Normally you have to sign up for them and hope you can get in. You can also do mail order stuff. Like I did mail order Bible studies and things like that. But you can also apply for colleges and stuff, to some extent anyway. I applied to get an associate's in ministry. To go through that, I had to get a bunch of paperwork done and signed up and approved, and thankfully it was free. A lot of the college things I saw were quite a lot of money, like in the thousands. So the average person isn't going to have thousands of bucks sitting around, to take a school class. But for the most part, it's very minimal education opportunities past getting a GED. How do prisoners handle conflicts and stay safe? I already kind of went over that. Like I said, your best bet is just stay to yourself. Don't get involved in gambling or drugs. Don't engage in risky behaviors. Don't be a smartass to people. Basically, stay to yourself. And, keep your head down. Usually, if you're not looking for trouble, you're alright. I mean, if you're looking for trouble, you will find it. Oh, believe me, you will find it if you're looking for it. It's out there. But as long as you let it be known that, hey, I don't want no part of any of that crap, You mind your own business. You don't go snitching on people. You're going to be okay. If you do have problems, about the only thing you can really do is go and talk to like a unit manager or something and say, hey, look, I'm having an issue. I fear for my life because, such is going to kill me. And then they might move you to another prison. How well that works depends, because if you've made a gang mad and you've made them mad enough, they're going to find out where you went. And then they're just going to call their gang buddies over there at that prison and say, hey, when you see this guy come in, tear him up. And so you've really done nothing. And the guards usually aren't much help. The guards are more there, I don't know, to stop you from getting out more than hurting each other, because they really don't give a crap what you do to each other for the most part. There's things that would get you locked up in a second on the street that in prison, it happens every day. It's normal. Like if I run up on you, I hit you, bam, boom, and I open your locker and I take all your stuff. I just stole $100 worth of your shit. What can you do about it? You can go tell on me. You know what's going to happen to me? They're going to take me out of the dorm and put me in another dorm. That's it. They might give me a $5 DR. You're not getting your stuff back. I'm not getting a new charge. So there's really kind of no downside to it for me. You know what I mean? If I don't care, nobody else does either. Yeah, just keep your head down and try to stay the heck away from everybody and don't engage in those risky behaviors. Don't owe people money. Try not to borrow anything. Can you share any experience of rehabilitation in prison? If I meet you and you think I'm your friend, as far as you know, I'm your friend. I come over to your house and I rob you. Whose fault is it? Well, most nice, good people would say, it's your fault. You're a terrible person for robbing them. You're a criminal. Well, where I'm from, they say, it's your fault for being stupid enough to think I was your friend and to let me steal your shit. You should have been smarter. You should have been born your game. And they really, really, really believe that. And so, yeah, so it's hard to be around people like that if you don't have that mindset, because you don't understand how they think or why they do things. And that's definitely something I learned a lot of in prison. I learned, not only what is it you're doing, but why is it that they do that? Why is it that they're like this? Why is it they say this? Why do they do that? And because a lot of things that people do in there have a motive. If people are nice to you, it's because they want something. There's a motive. There's something hidden. The majority of the time. Now, like me, I was a pretty nice person. By that point, I had decided I wanted to be rehabilitated. And prison doesn't do that for you. You do it for yourself. It's basically something you have to decide within you. I want to be different. I want to change. I don't want to be that old person. And then you have to basically make it happen. Because prison is not there to help you rehabilitate. It's just to store you. That's all they care about. They put you in this box where you're the hell away from everybody else, so you're not a danger to normal society. As far as making you better when you get out, they really don't care. Unless it's making them money. Now, if you can make them some money, they're all about it. But usually no. But yeah, I decided I was going to change, and I did. Yeah, I've become a lot better person. I think because of it, really. But yeah, it's going to do one of two things. Prison's going to make you worse, or it's going to make you better. You're not going to be the same. You're going to be different. And like I said, it's either you're going to do better, or you're going to do much worse. And most people do much worse. A lot of people don't think about it. It's kind of one of the reintegration things. You got to consider if you're coming out of here and you've been locked up now for 8 years. You've lost touch with your family, your friends. You don't know anybody. You have no money. You have no identification, no driver's license, nothing. And now you're out here and you're like, what do I do? How do I make money? How do I get a place to live? How do I get a job? How do I get an ID? IDs out here aren't free. You've got to have your birth certificate. That's $35. Then you've got to go up there and get the actual ID. That's another $35. You've got to have a way back and forth to the places. Then you got to go get your social security card. Then, as far as a job, you gotta have a place to live, and you gotta have a job, and you gotta have a job that'll hire you knowing that you're a felon. And so there's a lot of stumbling blocks, and if you don't have people helping you, usually, you're kind of screwed. And it's like, I did 8 years and I didn't come out any better. I don't have any skills to make money now. All of a sudden, it's not like suddenly I can just, go and do better. And so people run into the thing where it's like, okay, well, I know if I sell drugs, I can make money. I know how to do that. And so they'll do that, and then they're right back. They're right back where they started. Or they're like, oh, I'll just go rob somebody. Because you're under pressure to pay all these things. You got to pay fines, or you're going to get locked back up. And they're like, well, hell, if I'm going to get locked back up anyway, I might as well do something effed up and maybe come up and get away with it than just sit here and take it and go back to jail. It's really difficult because you've got a lot of obstacles to overcome, and they don't make it easy on you. And it seems like every time you turn around, there's more and more stuff, that they're piling on top of you, that you've got to do this and you got to pay this, and it can get real daunting. And a lot of people are just like, screw this, I'm going back to prison. It was easier in there. And for some people it is. Some people it's easier in prison because you got room, board, you've got some food, you can do some stuff. Whereas if you're out here, you've got all these things you got to pay, even if you're homeless. You're living behind a dumpster, eating trash, and you still got to somehow try to find a job and pay for your fees and go here and go there and get on mental health medication and pay for your medication. And, from that standpoint, it's really hard. Yeah. But if you, right now, we're growing up, we're growing up, we're learning things, we're getting set on a path or whatever. And this is, by the time you get a job, this is something that's been years, in doing. You've been learning for years how to be an adult and how to act, and you've got this support system with your families and stuff. But after a prison, all that stuff's gone. You're starting basically from nothing, and you're trying to be something, but you're actually, this is nothing. You're down here, you have less than nothing. So, like I said, you don't even have an ID. If you don't have an ID, you can't get a hotel room. You can't, go into place. You can't get a bank account. There's so much stuff you can't do without an ID. You can't get your driver's license. So it's like, how am I going to do things if I can't get this? But how am I going to get $35? And if, like I said, if you don't have somebody helping you, you're pretty much screwed. That's actually, some of you guys that know me, that's actually what I do. I got out, I bought this house, I've been a model citizen, and I actually take people in that have just come out of prison that have nothing, that would otherwise be on the street and be homeless. And, they come here, I help them get their ID, all that stuff. That money comes right out of my pocket. I buy their stuff for them. And it's basically an investment. I'm investing in you, this money, hoping that eventually you'll do better and you can pay me back. And then, I'll help you get a job. You've got a place to stay here. We're going to make sure you're fed. When you want to talk, I'll talk to you, about whatever you need to talk about. I'll try to help you make good decisions. A lot of times people have a lot of issues, with anger or confusion, and, they don't know what to expect, or they don't know what to do in these situations. And since I've been through it, I can really help them out a lot on that, because I can give some good advice on what to do and how to stay out of trouble. And most of the people that have come here have said that basically, without this, they would have been locked back up, and they know they would have because they've done it. There's people that have been in and out of prison several times. With me doing this program, this is the first time they've had a chance to really do something about it. There's lots of other stuff in there that people ask, but I don't want to go into too much. But I will say there's a lot of things that you take for granted that you don't have in prison. You can't turn your lights on and off. You don't have doors. You don't have privacy. You go in and out when they tell you do. You sleep when they tell you. You wake up when they tell you. And you got to do a lot of things to get by that you'd rather not do, that are slightly shady a lot of times, but it's about the only solution. See, for us, we don't have microwaves. I know some prisons do have microwaves so you can warm up food, but we didn't. So we had a thing that we would build with 2 washers and some wires and stuff, and you would actually plug that in straight into the light socket, and you would drop it in water, and it would heat up because electrical current go through it, and it would start boiling the water, and that's how you would cook your food. You would set your food down in that container of the boiling water. And of course, that thing is dangerous. You're plugging this stuff straight up to electricity. And that's how people lit cigarettes. They would stick these razor blades in there and tap wires together to get a spark and light the cigarettes. It's a lot of really weird stuff. And like I said, to work out, we filled trash bags with water, and we basically said, hey, we know how much a gallon of water weighs. So if we put 10 gallons, that's this many pounds. That on both sides, that's this many pounds. And that's, hey, that's our weight for today. And, you do your bench presses and your curls and everything else with it. And you usually got a team of people you do that with. But anyway, like I said, I hope that helps you guys out and gives you guys a better understanding of what prison is like in Georgia. Maybe answer some of your questions. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask me, and I'll answer you to the best of my ability. And if you're interested, I'll do some more videos like this, going over some more things and maybe giving some more anecdotes. And I appreciate you guys that came by for this accidental stream. I love y'all. LSW forever. We'll catch you guys later.